We are back with another Savage stream. In this video, we're going to talk about Ethereum 2.0 phase 0 possibly launching. I say possibly because there's some there's some requirements that have to be met before it actually goes live. It's supposed to launch on 1st of December. And if you want to know like why I said possibly, just you'll have to stick around till the close to the end of the video, and then we'll talk about it then. So let's just jump right into this. Basically, something to also keep in mind here is that this is a GPU crypto mining channel, but Ethereum, ironically, kind of in a way, does not care at all about GPU or ASIC miners. They don't care about proof of work. Giving us something to mine is not part of their roadmap at all. It never has been. They have been going to proof of stake since the very beginning. So just keep that in mind. It's okay to be upset that they're transitioning, but it's not a surprise. I mean, this was definitely something that everybody knew was coming. It was kind of suspected that it would take a little bit longer. This was kind of a surprise. As far as the price of ETH goes, it was kind of a nice surprise, but if you don't have 32 ETH already to do the staking part, then the price is kind of going up here a little bit. So Vitalik Buterin tweeted today that the ETH2 deposit address was released. And what does this actually mean? Well, the full ETH 2.0 is where Ethereum transitions from proof of work to proof of stake. And this has been part of the Ethereum roadmap since the very beginning. This is just phase 0 though. And a quick warning, don't get ahead of yourself. Don't send your Ethereum to the address, the contract address, okay? Don't send your Ethereum there because that's not how this works. Doing so will actually result in a failed transaction and you won't actually be staking whenever you think you are potentially, right? So don't just send 32 ETH to this address. That's not how it works. You need to use the Launchpad for this. And the Launchpad looks like this, and this will get you into the part of the contract that will walk you through, it will allow you to actually stake to that address. Now you can monitor this address to find out, how much Ether has been staked and all that stuff. You can do that in here, that's true. But as far as actually staking, you need to use the Launchpad. So why does Ethereum want to upgrade or transition to version 2.0? ETH 2.0 will eventually incorporate shard chains, which will allow more transactions per second and help prevent network overload, like what we saw with the recent DeFi craze, where transactions fees went through the roof. There was a lot of slow transactions and things just got really expensive really quick and really slow. Ethereum 2.0 will also increase security and scalability. And you can think of sharding or shard chains as a distributed transaction network and ledger where each segment can come to consensus about their subsets transactions on their own. Each shard will basically rely on the beacon chain to ensure all shards are synchronized. This ETH 2.0 phase 0 is just a contract on the current ETH network that we know and love and we mine proof of work on, but it will only include, this phase 0 is only going to include the beacon chain. And we'll talk about the beacon chain in just a minute. But basically, it's just the part of the Ethereum 2 network that will synchronize all the shards. So if you think of all the shards being separate little networks, separate little Ethereum networks, there has to be a way of synchronizing it and making sure that the transactions are validated and everybody's synchronized between all the different networks. I say different networks, but you understand what I mean. It's the way that they're going to scale up, the way that they're going to get faster transactions is sharding. So there has to be one chain, one portion that is actually going to do the validation, and that's the beacon chain, and that's what phase 0, which is launching soon, is all about. And it won't be fully operational, since there won't be, the beacon chain is what I'm referring to here, is that it won't be fully operational since there's not going to be any shards for it to synchronize. But what it is going to do is allow the registering of validators, basically your node operators, your staking nodes, and you'll be able to stake ETH. It's going to track that portion of it as well, balances and all that kind of stuff. Something very important to note is this phase 0, in this phase 0, is that staking your ETH is a one-way transaction, which means that ETH could be staked and not withdrawable for years until phase 1.5, one of the 4 phases of ETH 2.0, which is shard chains, is live, and the Ethereum mainnet becomes one of the shards, because that's what's going to happen in phase 1.5, is the Ethereum mainnet that we know now, that we use now, that we mine now, is going to become a shard on Ethereum 2.0. And that's how it's going to transition. Supposedly that phase 1.5 will be next year, 2021. But we all know how that goes. There's no telling. It could be longer, you know, heck, now it could be shorter because, you know, this portion, this phase 0 really wasn't expected. So this is a kind of a surprise. So in summary, ETH 2.0 will be implemented in 4 phases. You got phase 0, and that's what we're talking about tonight. This layer contains the code for ETH 2's proof of stake consensus and registers and tracks the validators and their balances. Phase 1, potentially maybe sometime next year, obviously. It has to be before 1.5, and they're saying 1.5 is next year. So phase 1 offers management of data synchronization associated with ETH 2's shards. So that's going to offer that synchronization part of all the different networks. And phase 1.5 updates Ethereum from proof of work to proof of stake by making it a shard under ETH 2. So what we as miners are actually looking at, or looking forward, not forward to, but looking out for, is phase 1.5, because that's whenever the transition actually occurs from proof of work to proof of stake. Then the final phase, phase 2, is whenever smart contracts, now I would assume at phase 1.5, that's whenever the proof of work is going to go away and we're no longer going to be able to mine Ethereum with our GPUs or our ASICs. Phase 2 is where smart contracts will be available on all of the ETH 2 shards, and they'll all be synchronized and you'll be able to have the same smart contract run across the network. So that's kind of like a real quick summary of the different phases. And as far as ETH 2.0, what we're talking about now, let's see here. I think, let me see if I've got, yeah, for ETH 2.0, Genesis block to occur. I think it actually talks about it here. Yeah. You know, in order for it to occur and for 2.0 to be live, there's some criteria that has to be met. As long as there are 16,384 validators, which equals 524,288 ETH. As long as that is on the network, on the ETH 2 network by November 23rd, people are getting this a little bit confused because one of the requirements is that it has to be staked for 7 days. That number has to be staked for 7 days before the Genesis block is generated and it actually goes live. So it's actually November 23rd, not December 1st. I guess that they're assuming that by December 1st at 12 p.m. Let's see, I might be getting this mixed up here, but it seems like Yeah, to trigger Genesis at this time. So they're making an assumption here that they will have enough by December 1st, 2020. That'll be the first opportunity, the first chance for it to actually go live. But if they don't, then it's going to be triggered 7 days after the threshold has been met, whenever that may be. So that's how it's going to work. So you can monitor this, you know, through the different the contract address to find out whether or not they've met the goal and are actually going to go live on December 1st, like they said, or it might be 7 days. It'll be 7 days after that threshold is met. So I'm assuming that, let's say it goes, it kind of makes it sound like if it is, let's say November 29th, and they don't have enough by then, let's see, 7 day validator, 7 days prior to December 1st. Yeah, okay, so yeah, it is 7 days. So they're basically making an assumption here that they're going to hit that. Anyway, so just keep in mind that it is 7 days, that it has to be staked prior to the actual activation. So each validator will need to be staking 32 Ethereum, currently worth about $12,800 US dollars. That totals about $210 million US dollars for the total staking, the minimum staking. So what is ETH up to? Let's look at some heat map here. Let's look at the Coin360. It actually hit a 52-week high of 487 US dollars this year in the past 52 weeks, and a low of 95. Man, now if we could just buy that $95 ETH now, right? Because only, what would that be? It would be less than $3,200 to get a full staking node, right? So kind of cool. Recently, recently ETH has been kind of stagnant. I say recently, meaning like at the end of November, at the end of October here. Or actually trending a little bit downward until today, whenever Vitalik dropped us, you know, that early Christmas present tweet there by stating that ETH 2.0 deposit contract was live. So that was kind of cool. It did pop up about 5%. It's looking like about 6% now on 24 hours. And yeah, pretty good. I think it was like 380, if I remember right. Something like that earlier today. So how much do you expect to, or how much can you expect to earn if you stake your 32 ETH, or just ETH in general here? Let's look at a couple of calculators here. Or we'll kind of go through the steps too and just see what it takes. You do have to run your own machine. You know, I don't know if I'm sure there's a way of doing it through VPS, but from the documentation I'm looking at, it looks like you are going to be doing it from a machine locally, like at your house or business or whatever. So at least there is that capability. So if we look at stakingrewards.com and we look at Ethereum 2.0, we can plug some data in here. And I don't really like this calculator. I mean, it's okay, but there's a better one. The ethereumprice.org is actually pretty solid because it gives you a little bit more options, I think. But basically, this is saying that you should earn about, with 32 ETH, $56, you know, 0.14 ETH a month. Current prices, of course, could go up, you know, with the demand for Ethereum possibly going to go up because of the staking is live. You never know. You never know how this stuff works. But yearly earning is about $677 on this. But let's look at this other calculator here. This is ethereumprice.org. I like this one because it gives you a little bit better information as far as like longevity. So we're going to go in here and we're going to type in 32 current value or current price. Now think about this. In the last year, this could have been $3,000, right? Instead of 13 if you had bought 32 ETH at $95 each. All right, so let's go calculate. And then this will show you, basically, I like this little result right here, okay? So if you want to kind of figure out exactly what you would be looking at, if based on the settings in the calculator and the assumptions outlined below, the annual interest earned on your stake will be 14.1%. And then if you compound that, obviously, I think that means that you're going to be just putting your earnings right back into it. Now, I think that, you know, I don't know how that's going to work because the minimum is 32. So I don't know if I don't think you can do that. I think you have to have 32 to fire up the next one. So I don't know how that'll work, but we'll see. There might be a way of just, you know, rolling it into there and then not actually creating another node until you get 64. You know. So anyway, so given the ETH price of $404.9 USD, the value of your original stake would be 14,783. And after 1 year, and 48,000 after 10 years. Now that's a pretty huge number. You know, basically you're looking at, you know, your $13,000 investment today would become 48,000 in 10 years, which is not terrible. That is not terrible at all. But yeah, this is a pretty decent little calculator. I'll throw this in the description. Actually, I'll throw it in the chat too. I'm not looking at chat because I don't want to get distracted by you guys. All right, so I'm gonna throw that in the chat. That's a pretty good calculator there. All right, so how do you get started with this whole thing? You have to go to the ETH2 Launchpad, the launchpad.ethereum.org. This is where you would get started. I'm not gonna do it because I think I'm a little bit skeptical, only because you know, it's risky, and they actually talk about that on here too. You know, if you give 32 ETH right now, if you stake the 32 ETH, not give, but if you stake the 32 ETH, then you are locking that up for definitely a minimum of, I would say, at least a year. I would venture to say it's even more than that. But, yeah, I mean, what are we talking about over here? Something about getting hacked or something. Is this channel hacked? No. My channel is not hacked, I don't think. Why? Why are we saying that my channel is hacked? Alright. So anyway, I'm going to continue on here. Alright, so yeah, you go here to launchpad.ethereum.org, click on get started. There's a checklist here. It talks about your validator clients. Let's go ahead and click on get started. We're going to go through overview. It'll walk you through basically, and it wants you to understand, and you probably, if you're actually going to do this, I'm telling you, man, if you're actually going to do this, then definitely click on all the learn mores, go over each individual thing, understand your requirements, understand your responsibilities, because this is not something that, I mean, most people don't have 13 grand to just throw at something and then mess it up, right? So you want to be very careful with how you go about doing this. I don't have 32 ETH that I could even play with this right now. I could if I move some stuff around, I think, but right now I do not have that. So I wouldn't be able to show you, you know, how to do it. You know, we probably should do it. I think that you could probably still do this on testnet, but anyway, maybe I'll look at that tomorrow or something. So the overview here, it does walk you through the whole thing. I'm just gonna go through the list here. You know, it makes you understand like what is going on. So yep, 32 ETH. I understand that it's important to keep my validator online, because if you don't, you get penalized for that. And I think it's based on a percentage of time down compared to your time up. So you could get hurt by not having your computer online and accessible on the network to validate the transactions, which makes sense. Slashing is a basically like a vulnerability that a validator could do. It says here, you know, validators that act maliciously or contrary to the specification are liable to be slashed. Basically, if you do something that's not within the spec, they might penalize you a huge amount, right? So you would click here to learn more. I'd encourage you to do each one. Back up your mnemonic phrase. Validator keys are derived from a unique mnemonic seed. Your seed is the only way to withdraw your funds, which you wouldn't be able to do for the first year anyway, but you definitely don't want to lose access to your stake. Okay, your 32 ETH. Signing keys, the Launchpad will help you create the keys for each of your validators, each one meaning 32 ETH each. 32 ETH each. Those keys will be saved in key stores, like a key store file, so you want to make sure that you will safeguard those. I understand that I cannot transfer my staked ETH until at least phase 1, and I cannot withdraw until phase 2. Okay, so you can't transfer or withdraw until phase 2 all the way. Once I exit, I cannot rejoin until at least phase 1. So if you, it looks like if you stake and then maybe, I don't know how you would do it, voluntarily exit and then restart, this means validators need to be in for the long haul. So there's no way to exit. Once I exit, I cannot rejoin until, so I don't know why they say once you exit here. Anyway, this is just making you commit, like, hey, this is long-term stuff here. And then it talks about the risk, being an early adopter. I mean, if you did it today, then it's certainly pretty risky. And it says here, I accept that software and design bugs may result in me being slashed. So basically, you know, you're kind of depending on their code for this staking interface and the Launchpad and all that stuff, the contract itself for staking to be good to go. But there's telling you right here, if it's not, it's on you. So anyway, so you accept that. Confirmation. In order to become a validator, you will generate your new ETH2 key pairs to this install validator software. Need to be technically capable of running commands and all that stuff. All right, so continue. Then it gets you into the client selection. You got to choose which ETH1 client you're going to use and set up as a node, because you have to run this in parallel with the ETH2 client. Okay, so let's say that we were going to use Geth. Okay, continue. Then it's going to get you into the ETH2 client. So you have to choose which one of these you're going to use. And then there you go. So that gets you pretty far. Like if you're really interested in doing this and want to risk it, then there you go. This is I'll put this over there too. Actually, yeah, I already did that. So yeah, pretty crazy. I mean, it seems to walk you through it. It seems to be pretty solid. It doesn't seem too difficult. And I had a little bit of trouble finding the actual hardware requirements too. I would have to do a little bit of research to find out if you're able to do this through VPS. I would assume if you have Linux running on a VPS, you could do it. If you have both the clients running side by side in parallel, I guess. I'd have to look into it a little bit more on that side. But let's see here. What else we got? Can't remember if Red Panda was going. I thought I saw him post something about going live tonight, but yeah, here we go. Okay, yeah. So this was it. For some reason, just a few minutes ago, right before the stream, I checked this. I don't think this was up here. Matter of fact, I know it wasn't, because what was up here was his last video, or a popular video is what was up here. So that's cool. So yeah, 10 waiting, 10 p.m. So that's 7 minutes. As long as that time is correct for my time zone and all that stuff. This is a Ask Me Anything live stream. He's been doing those quite often here lately, so that's pretty cool. Get in there and ask him some questions and hang out and all that kind of stuff. Also, Not Your Normal Miner also covered ETH 2.0 today. Right here is his video, so let me click on that and post that over there as well into the chat. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Yeah, cool stuff happening for ETH 2.0. Alright, so check that out. And then we'll also go to Red Panda mining. He'll be live in about 6 minutes. So if this video was useful or at least entertaining, please be sure to like, share, subscribe, and click the notification bell to make sure you are notified when I go live or post new content. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'm going to get out of here. We got about 5 minutes until Red Panda, so make sure you head over there, and I'll see you guys over there most likely. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Stay savage.